Hey guys, my name is Vishwarup Sahu, and today we are having our new guest, Mr. Kaustav. He is from NU Boston, and he's studying in energy system. Let us go to him. And Kaustav, first of all, thank you very much for helping us out making this podcast. And please
Yeah,
let us start with your intro and everything.
yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you, Biswarup and Piyush, for having me on your podcast.
Thanks a lot.
And so, hi guys, my name is Kaustubh Kamgaokar. Uh, I have graduated from Northeastern University in Boston with a master's degree in energy systems. I I did my bachelor's in electrical engineering from Government College of Engineering, Aurangabad, and I completed that in 2018. And after completing my bachelor's, I worked for about 1 year at Mahindra and Mahindra, Nashik. And after that, I came to the United States for my master's in fall 2019. And the journey has been exciting. And I'll tell you more about it as the podcast progresses.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So, Kaustav, let us start with your GRE and TOEFL scores.
Yeah. So I scored 314 in my GRE.
Yeah.
It was about 6 points less than I wanted, but
But
that's
it is a
okay.
good score. Yes.
Yeah, like I had an aim of 320 at least. 320 it was my minimum,
Yeah.
but 314 is also a good score. So
No
Yes.
doubt of that.
and after that I took TOEFL, and in TOEFL I got 101. So
Okay. That's also good.
that score was also like pretty good.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
anything above a 95 is good in TOEFL.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
those are my scores.
Wow, that's really great. And can you tell us about your admits and rejects and how many universities you applied and where you applied?
Yeah, sure. So I applied to 5 universities,
Hmm.
and they were uh, Northeastern University, Georgia Tech, then University of Florida at Gainesville,
Hmm.
University of Southern California in Los Angeles, and Texas A&M. So
Wow,
basically,
all
I
of them are
had
really good.
yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
especially the Georgia Tech is. I think it is one of the best in electrical
yeah.
engineering, right?
So
Mhm.
one more thing I should mention is that I applied to all these universities for uh, ECE programs, like electrical engineering programs, but I actually got rejected from four of them because,
Oh my God.
Oh,
yeah, I think that my GPA was a little bit low, so that's why maybe they rejected.
So, what
But
was your GPA?
my GPA from engineering was like 7.4, I think, at that point when I was applying.
Oh, okay. Now we got it. Yeah.
So 7.4 or 7.5.
Hmm.
Like, I think if you want to go into ECE, then you should have like at least 8 pointer
Yeah.
during your bachelor's.
okay.
But that's all right. Uh, so I got my acceptance from Northeastern University,
Yeah.
and in that acceptance letter, they had written that we have analyzed your profile and we think that energy system should be a better fit for you. So after that, I also looked into the energy systems program, and I found out that this program was really different and it was really good because this program had like both technical and financial aspects. It covered all of them. So I thought it would be something new and something different. Like it would broaden my areas of expertise. So I thought, yeah, I will do I will do this course.
Wow.
So the
And it
university
was
was the
a
one who suggested you to go for the energy systems program, right?
yeah, yeah. They said that my profile was better suited for energy systems. And when I looked into the program, I also found out that it's a pretty good course, and it had some unique electives and unique courses. So I decided to go for it.
Okay, that's really
This
nice.
is something new for me because I've heard it for the first time that university is suggesting you to
Yeah,
take which course. That's something new for me. That's
yeah,
great. So, Costa, coming on to the next question, why did you
yeah.
prefer United States over so many European countries? Like many of the European countries are considered to be a very good place to study renewable energy, right? Then why United States?
Yeah, I chose United States because it's the biggest economy in the world, and
Yeah.
the opportunities here are just unmatched. Like uh, there are a lot of opportunities, and there are so many great universities in the US which rank very highly in the world. And Boston is such a place that it has Harvard, MIT, and Boston University. All of these are great universities. And once you are here, you can like attend all their events and their networking events, the technical events. So like you get to meet a lot of highly qualified people, highly experienced people, and I think that was also a big factor in choosing the United States. And after that, the standard of living in the United States is also very high,
Yes.
and uh, salaries after you graduate, average salaries in the US for master students, they are also higher than average uh, compared to the European countries and European universities.
Wow.
So yeah, those were the
Okay.
big three factors for choosing United States. And United States is at the uh, is a
Okay.
is the leader in when it comes to innovation, and the scale of the projects
Yeah.
over here, it's large.
Yes, yes. Definitely.
Okay. Okay. So let as you told us, like you got only one admit from Northeastern University, right? Let us
Uh,
assume that you had three options to go for the master's degree. Let us assume that, and then would you come to the NU Boston, or you would have gone for any other university? And if NU Boston, then why NU Boston?
yeah, so to answer this question, I would say, yeah, I would still have chosen Northeastern University because the Northeastern University has some very good professors, and Northeastern University also has like one of the best co-op programs in the United States, co-op or internship programs.
Mhm.
So I would have chosen that. And another reason is a wide range of electives that are provided. Like we can, so it's not like you are restricted to just energy systems courses. If you are interested in some advanced level electrical engineering courses, you can take them. Or if you are interested in project management, you can take those courses. So there's just a wide variety of electives that are available in Northeastern University, and you can you can mix and match all those electives, and you can do your masters the way you like it. So for
That's
those
the
reasons,
biggest
I would have
difference.
chosen. Yeah,
That's the biggest difference between Indian university and foreign universities,
yeah.
right? Okay, that's great. So coming to the next question, does geographical location matters? Because you are living in Boston, right? And if a
Yeah.
student is currently studying in, let's take an example like New Jersey, what will be the difference? Or Dayton. So what will be the difference?
So I would say that New Jersey and Boston, they aren't that different, like
Mhm.
weather-wise at least. They're the same, like uh, from September or October, I would say the winter starts,
Yeah.
and it's pretty cold over here, and it's also pretty cold in New Jersey during that time. But if you move south, like to Florida or Georgia, then during that time it's not as cold as here, but uh, it's still like I think 10 or 12 degrees during the winter time.
Okay.
So for me, weather and geography was not a big factor. It was like secondary or tertiary. I didn't care much about the weather
Yeah.
constraints.
Wow, that's really nice. So can you give us some tips on SOP and LOR? Because lots of students really want to make a good SOP, and many
Yeah,
universities really like it, and it can obviously change the status of their application. So can you give some tips on SOP and LOR?
yeah. So first, I would say for LOR,
Hmm.
uh, generally they ask for three LORs.
Yep.
So uh, one you should take from your department head.
Yeah.
The second one you should take with a professor with whom you have worked a lot. Like let's say your project guide or any other professor who has taught you like two or three courses.
Yes.
You can take an LOR from them. And third one you can take from any other professor of your choice from your university. Or
Yes.
if you have worked in an industry, then you can take one LOR from your manager or your direct supervisor, because
Oh.
they can tell the universities about your work ethic, your
Yeah.
professionalism, your how much you can grasp concepts, and your other soft skills. So
Oh, that's
uh,
great.
LOR and like when I applied, most of the universities, what they do is your uh, your references have to uh, give you a recommendation online. Like there's a portal, and there
Hmm.
are 4 or 5 questions about you, and they have to fill those questions out, and with that they have to provide the LOR. So I would say that uh, you get LORs from the professors that you like, and yeah, but, I'm joking here.
Yeah.
Like the professors will definitely help you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, so that I think that's enough for LORs. And for SOPs, I would say that uh, show them why you are interested in the university. Like do some research on the university, and write why you want to join this university. Like you can tell about some professor whose research interests you, or you can say that this professor is working on this technology, and I'm very interested in learning about this technology. And you can also say that I've also worked on a similar thing. And you should also write about your projects, the projects that you have done in your undergrad, and how those
Okay.
projects how those projects intrigued you selecting your masters into selecting your master's subject or master's domain. And
Mhm.
other than that, you should also include other other experiences that can highlight your other soft skills like leadership qualities, your decision making skills, your teamwork. And you should also include your co-curricular activities. Like if you are interested in pursuing arts or theater, or you play some sport, you have represented your some teams in sports, you should also include that. That also plays a big role,
Okay.
because the universities
Okay.
over here, they don't just see your technical skills
Mhm.
or your academics. They see your entire profile.
Mhm.
So that's
So
really important.
that's what is holistic approach, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. They have a holistic approach. So it's really important to include all these things in your SOP.
Okay.
I mean, a
Okay.
good
So
SOP can be a difference between your acceptance and your rejection. Like you might have a low score in GRE
yeah.
and TOEFL, but your SOP is very good. You are very passionate in it, and you can convey your passion to the reviewers, and they can give you an acceptance based just on that.
Wow, that's really
Okay.
awesome.
So as we have talked about the SOP and LOR, now the next thing comes is the course structure. So please tell us about the your course structure, especially the energy systems course structure, and just take us through your course and all.
Yeah. So the energy systems program at Northeastern University had 32 credits. It was a 32 credits course. And of those 32 credits, 16 credits were for compulsory subjects. Like there were four compulsory subjects, and other four were electives. So like each subject is 4 credits. So like you have to complete 8 courses during your masters, and of those 8, 4 are compulsory subjects. The compulsory subjects are fundamentals of energy systems integration. That course has a lot of
Mhm.
thermodynamics. The second one is economic decision making. This is a very good finance course, which should be actually taught at bachelor's level also, because it it gives a very
Okay.
good insight into project finance and other finance related topics, which are very important when you do a real life project. Then the third compulsory subject is engineering mathematics, and the fourth one is an accounting subject. So what you can do here is you can waive off any subject that you have done during your bachelor's. So like if you in India we have 4 mathematics subjects in bachelor's. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
you have the option to waive off engineering mathematics from your compulsory course,
Oh.
and you can choose an elective in its place. And
Wow.
like I
Okay.
told you earlier, there's a wide range of elective list. So you have subjects in project management, you have subjects in core electrical engineering, and you have some other innovative courses in energy systems like uh, a power plant. There's a course on power plant engineering. Then there's a course on wind energy systems, which focuses a lot on your blade design, your wind turbine blade design, and other aerodynamics of a windmill. And then there's subjects on energy storage systems. Energy storage systems
Okay.
also has like two subjects. One of them focuses a lot on the chemical part of battery systems, and the other one it focuses more on your system sizing and other stuff related to batteries. So
Mhm.
uh, I from I had waived off my maths course, and I had done fundamentals of energy systems integration, smart grids, electric drives, economic decision making, uh, renewable energy development, and electrochemical energy storage. So I did all these courses.
Wow,
Wow,
that's great.
that's
And you
that's
can even
I
choose
guess
the
a very
elective
broad.
courses from, yeah, other departments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You can choose other department subjects also, but
Okay.
there are some forms that you have to fill, and you have to take approval from your program director. But that's an easy process. You easily get the approval for that. So,
Okay.
Yes, that's awesome.
So the next question would be, from what I have heard, and Vishru has also, I'm assuming, that NEU Boston is one of the best universities in terms of internship opportunities and campus jobs.
yeah,
So just tell us about your experience regarding this.
yeah, sure. So uh, the internship program in Northeastern University, uh, that is one of the best in United States, and you can easily get a co-op here once you get here, and uh, there are many companies that post their jobs on Northeastern's job portal. So uh, the university has its own job portal, and it's very beneficial to have that when you are searching for especially internships. But apart from that, you can also apply on LinkedIn, Glassdoor, and other job search boards. So, but the Northeastern University's job portal is very good, and many of my friends got their internships from that portal. And and as far as on-campus jobs are concerned, you have to continuously check the that on-campus job portal. So there are jobs, but uh, like it won't be. I would say it would be a little bit difficult to get them right when you come to the university, like in your first semester. First semester, you'll have to keep on searching and applying, and probably from the second semester, you can get an on-campus job. And so there are many on-campus jobs. The residential security officer, that's one of the biggest on-campus employers. So they hire a lot of people, but they do that in batches. So like if you apply and you don't get selected in the first try, they will probably hire you in their next round. So that you can get that job very easily. And other than that, there are like many shops and restaurants where you can work part time. But uh, I would say there are also teaching assistantships and research assistantships that you can get. But for that, you'll have, if you want to become a teaching assistant, then first you'll have to take that subject
Mhm.
for which you want to be the TA. And after that, you'll also have to keep a good rapport with the professor. And after that, uh, they generally they generally hire for TAs at the start of the term. So like you also have to apply for that. And after applying, you also have to keep in touch with the professor, and you have to tell them that I'm interested in becoming the TA. And then you can get your TA shift. Like I had an on-campus job. I was a TA for 2 terms in the subject of smart grids. So I had taken that subject in my first semester, and I was interested in doing that. So I had approached the professor after my first semester itself, but during that time they already had a TA. So and the previous TA was graduating in fall 2020, fall or summer 2020. So once she graduated, I got the opportunity to be the TA in fall 2020.
Wow, that's really
Yeah,
nice. So after this question, I would like to add another one that what is the cost of living in Boston? Like whether you are, it depends upon where you are staying, right? Whether you are
yeah,
in an on-campus housing or an off-campus housing. So can you tell us about that?
yeah. So on-campus housing is available in Northeastern University,
Hmm.
but that's pretty expensive. So most of the international students prefer to live off campus. And off campus also there are many apartments, but uh, if you look at apartments that are in right in the city and very close to the campus, then the rent can run around $2,500 per month. And so you'll have to find roommates. And if you find like 4 or 5 roommates, then you can bring that rent down to about $500 per person. And additional expenses, you can say that they are around $200 to $300 a month.
Hmm.
So you can say that on average, $700 to $800
So it's
you
pretty
can
expensive,
expect
right?
to spend. Yeah, like Boston is an expensive city,
Yeah. Hmm.
so the rent and everything that's pretty high. But like if you choose to live in the suburbs, your rent will be a little bit low,
Okay.
but you will get a better house for that same price.
Okay. So what do you think that should people choose the should they choose the suburbs or should they come towards the city?
Yeah, like I would say that depends on you. Like if you choose to live in the suburbs, then your living costs might be lower, but then you'll have to think about transportation.
Yeah.
Like you
Hmm.
have to uh, select public transportation, or you'll have to take a bike. So you'll also have to consider those expenses then. Like I would
Yes.
say one way or the other, $700 to $800 is like an average cost.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
So can you tell us about some of the good universities which has really good courses on energy systems or courses on renewable energy?
So I would say uh, I have some friends who are pursuing similar courses
Yeah.
from New York University,
Wow.
NYU.
NYU
Then,
Tandon is a great university, right?
yeah, and I think it's also pretty good for ECE,
Yes. Mhm.
electrical. Then Georgia Tech is a very good university. It's a public university, so your tuition fees will also be very low over there.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we have also heard that Georgia Tech gives a huge amount of funding to almost every student, or pretty
Yeah,
much
that
every student, like that.
yeah, so yeah, that also depends on the funding and everything. That depends on each university.
Yes.
So Georgia Tech is a good option, and then there's uh, there are UTs. UTs are also very good. University of
Okay.
Texas. There
Mhm.
are uh, there's UT Dallas, UT Arlington, Texas A&M. They
Mhm.
are they are also very good. And then you have UC Berkeley,
So, wow.
Okay.
Yes,
USC.
one of the
That
best.
is one of the best universities in USA.
Yeah, USC is also very good. And
Okay.
after that, I think uh, your University of Florida at Gainesville is also very good for ECE, and I think it's good for ECE. I don't
Okay.
know their ranking or anything about the renewables program,
Mhm.
but I think that's also pretty good.
Wow. That's really nice.
Okay. So, as we have talked about the different universities that are very good in the renewable energy field, what I think is that networking is something that should be a part of your, that should be something which should be at which you should be good at, right? So,
Yeah,
do you have any tips for the students who are aspiring to come to United States, and like how should they do the networking, being a very new person in any state all over
yeah.
the country, right? So, what are your tips for this?
Yeah, so I would say that you should start at the university level. Like there are many societies in the university, and uh, so you can join them, and you can meet with a lot of people in those societies, and there's no restriction on which society or how many societies that you can join. It's completely up to you. So you can join all those societies, and you can also reach out to your professors. And if you see that some professor is who is not from your department is doing some research, then you can approach them and ask them that I'm very interested in your research. So uh, can I do some work with you on this? So you can also get work experience like that. Like it might not be paid, but you can get very good experience. And apart from that, I would say LinkedIn is a very good tool. You can use LinkedIn for connecting with industry leaders or uh, the alumni of your university, and you can follow all the industries that you are interested in on LinkedIn, and also you can find out uh, other people who are working or who are doing some interesting research on in your field in your domain of interest. So LinkedIn is also a very good tool that you can use to network with people.
Wow. This is very necessary, like network with people. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it can help you a lot for growing.
yeah, and like
Yeah, we have also
uh,
heard that you can make your own club in any university because they really support these types of things.
yeah, yeah, you can create your own club, And most of the universities over here, they have their pre-existing clubs,
Mhm.
which they have established for like many years. So I think it's easier to join existing clubs. But
Okay.
yeah, you can start your own club. Like if you feel that the university does not have this particular club
Yes.
and it can benefit a lot of students who
Mhm.
are also interested in the same thing, then you can come up together and create a new club.
Wow, that's really nice. So,
Yeah.
moving on to next question. Can you tell us about the job market in energy systems? How is it right now?
Yeah. So right now, I would say the job market is very good. The economy is opening up again after this pandemic, and uh, I'm also applying currently.
Yes.
So I'm seeing a lot of job postings uh, for in renewable energy sector and
Mhm.
also in electrical engineering sector. There are many jobs, and I think the jobs will increase in the coming years
Yes.
because this new administration, they're also pushing for renewables for renewable sources. So I think the government is also going to invest a lot in the renewable sector, and that will also create a lot of jobs in the renewable sector in the coming years.
Wow, that's great. Because we have also seen that lots of universities are coming with new courses on renewable energy, which they didn't have
Yeah,
previously. So I think this is also another thing because they knows that renewable energy is going to hit a lot. And
yeah,
this was one of the most important question because few months before US went through a recession. So I
yeah.
think people will like this question a lot. So with this question, we would like to come to the last question. What was your how was your visa experience when you were applying for
Oh,
your universities when you got admitted?
yeah. So visa experience, I would say it was very smooth,
Hmm.
and so you have to fill out a very long form when you apply for
Yes.
the visa. So I would say that you have to do it very patiently. You have to make sure that everything that you enter is 100% correct. And after filling out those forms, you have to pay a service fee, which
Oh,
is which was $200 when I applied for my visa. And after paying that fee, you have to select your visa dates, and for that also you have to pay a visa fee, which is I think around $160. It was
okay.
$160 when I applied, and I think it's the same right now. It hasn't changed much. So $160 for that, and after that, you basically have to choose two appointments for your visa. First one is biometrics.
Yes.
They take your fingerprints and your photo. So you have to go to the embassy for that. Not embassy, they have a visa center that you have to visit, and that process is generally very short. Like it takes around 15 to 20 minutes
Okay.
biometrics process, and after that you have your visa interview.
Yes.
So for the visa interview, you have to take a lot of stuff with you, a lot of documents, but it's not necessarily they will ask for everything. They might ask for just a few documents. And the key to the visa interview, I would say, is that you have to be very confident, and you don't have to fumble in your answers. Like if you fumble, then they will dig deep into that topic. And visa. for visa interviews, I would say that uh, generally there's a lot of waiting time if you don't get dates very quickly.
Mhm.
So you have to be very careful, like when you are applying for the visa. Like, you should generally apply immediately after you get your acceptance
Yeah.
and and yeah, you should also very quickly apply for the I-20. I mean, after you get your acceptance, you have to request the I-20 from the university. So
Yes.
that also takes like around 1 to 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And once you get your I-20, you can go for the visa interviews. So like you should have that. And before before you go for your visa interview, you also have to prepare your finances. You
Yes.
have to because you have to take your bank statements. If you have a loan, then your loan approval letter
Mhm.
and many other things. I mean, you just have to carry them with you just in case the interviewer asks you about that. You can show that document to them. But
Okay.
generally, they won't ask many questions about that. I mean, they won't ask you for any documents there, just your passport and your I-20 during the interview. And they will ask questions about the finances, like how will you support yourself financially when you are in the US. Like you have to tell them that I have this much amount of money in my bank, or I have this much amount of loan, and the tuition fees are this much, and the living expense. No, they won't ask you about living expense. They will ask about your tuition fees, and you have to show you have to show that you can live there without anything, without any other what you can say, without any other support for at least 1 year.
Okay. Now I got it.
Like you have to tell them that uh, I can cover the tuition fees for at least 1 year, and yeah, that all those amounts they are in your I-20. So
Okay. Got it. So thanks a lot. And with this question, we are going to wrap this podcast. And thanks for sharing so much amount of information. So guys, this
yeah,
video is
thank you.
very, very informative. And if you want to apply to Northeastern University um, or any universities which is related to renewable energy or like this types of field, then you can obviously see this podcast. And we would like to thank once again Kaustubh for helping us so much. And if you want to tell anything to our guests, to our viewers, sorry.
Yeah, so I would say that apply to the universities and don't worry that much about the current situation. Like uh, you will get your admits and you will get your visa approvals. Just keep on applying and be patient.
Okay. So with this, we are going to wrap this podcast. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.